Yes or no, this is your last chance. No beating around the bush.
Perhaps I was talking when I should have been listening.
This is the Redefine Relentless podcast.
Welcome back to Redefine Relentless. Today is Motivation Monday. It's something that I let get away, and I'm bringing it back for the last couple episodes that I'll be really focusing and honing in on Redefine Relentless as a podcast. I really want to light your fire, and today we're going to be talking about setting your tone. I think that's so important in whichever and whatever you do in your life to set your tone and to listen to the good advice and throw out all negative things that are around you. And it's so cliche to say, right? But you have to open your eyes to certain things, and it's really hard to see when there's negative thoughts, negative people that are suppressing you, that are the ankle weight to your growth. And you have to understand that because of certain circumstances, the people you hang around, all these different things, you can create excuses, right? And I really want to set this tone of you have to stop making excuses. Extreme Ownership, a really good podcast I had that dove deep into this, is to have ownership in whatever you do. Yes, of course, there's circumstances that you couldn't control a whole lot. The questions to ask yourself is, what can I control and what can't I control? And that is what you execute upon, what you can control. Because you can't execute upon the unforeseen events that happen, all these different things. And, stuff's going to be tough, right? Life's not fair, and it will continue not to be fair. But it's who you are as a person, how you go after it. When things are against you, when all odds are defined against you, and you really set that tone. That should be your fuel to your fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about yourself 5 years ago and where you are today, that growth. Or 10 years ago. Like, the amount of growth you've had is insane. And to let some of these people that get in your head, or your thoughts, your personal thoughts in your head, to let those thoughts consume you is really not the best thing. But in the sense of turning it around, the book I'm currently on, Your Next 5 Moves, Mastering the Art of Business Strategy, amazing book. And it talked about feeling your fire and using the negative things, the negative situations, and honestly opening your eyes and having gratitude towards, the rougher times, the negative situations, because they fuel your fire. And if you put that into the fuel tank, I'm running on jet fuel. I saw something the other day, and it was like, people don't understand how, like, some people have this energy. They're on, limited sleep. Personally, me, I try to get as much sleep as possible within, the 6 to 7 hour time frame. But I always have energy, and I'm always bringing it, because it's like I have this jet fuel to prove to, it's no one else but myself, really, in reality. And I want you to do that. Prove to yourself that you are worthy. You have this capability. You are limiting yourself with this mindset because you believed what other people told you, or you just don't have those thoughts in your head, and you need to consume content that's positive. I highly, highly, highly recommend looking at a bunch of the people I follow on my Instagram, which you should definitely follow, Redefine Relentless. I always put it in the description. You can open it and follow it. I highly recommend going through my following list and following every single one of those on Instagram. It's going to fuel your fire. I am consuming a mass amount of just these motivation videos, and they are so impactful to my life. I highly recommend that as a resource, because using that jet fuel, and then also listening to other podcasts as well, not just mine, that are going to lift you up. There's so many. Extreme Ownership by Jocko is an amazing. He has amazing podcast. There's other Navy SEALs that have that motivation type of. And I just look up motivation, right? Look up motivation on YouTube. That fuels your fire to be unstoppable. And another thing that's really important in setting your tone is to have discipline. Discipline is more important than motivation, for it is when motivation burns out that your discipline kicks in and you keep on going. Do I want to go to the gym every single morning? Hell no. Do I want to wake up in the morning at 5 a.m. every day? Hell no. But I understand in what I do, I am I'm accomplishing a hierarching thing, and I'm compounding my efforts. I have read so many books, far and wide, self-improvement, all business books, all these books. But I tell you what, it doesn't matter if you read 1,000 books. If you ain't do nothing, it means nothing. Action is the most important thing you can do. This is one of the things I didn't foresee when I was starting to get into reading and all this stuff. Now I'm applying a lot of it. I'm reanalyzing this stuff. I did it because I believe that if I read books, it's just going to make me smart and I'm just going to know I'm just going to know what to do and all this stuff. It's like, you're not even going to retain this stuff if you just like listen to the book while you're like, you don't retain that information that way. I'm sitting down reading books, listening to it on Audible, highlighting, analyzing it so I can absorb so much content and so much of this, the author that wrote this, and applying it to my life with reading things, with doing these things. If you don't have action, you're not going to get anywhere. You can run on a treadmill and get nowhere. You have to get up and run on asphalt and just go after it. You can't have these excuses anymore. Because of this, because of that, because of that. Those excuses should be eliminated. Your doubt should be eliminated. It's the people around you sometimes that causes that, or it's your mindset and that you grew up that, I'm not too good at this. If I had that mindset back when I started my podcast, I would not be 93 episodes in right now. Let alone all the things that I've done and accomplished. And I'm not saying that to, be like, oh, look at me. There's so much more I have to accomplish. But I know compounding in a step after step, I'm not going to have 1,000 episodes by tomorrow, right? But I take a step at a time. I'm not going to have 100 episodes by tomorrow. I take a step at a time. I'm not going to have Simpler Living done. I take a step at a time. And these efforts compound. 1% better each day is 365% improvement. You got to listen to yourself and listen to, there's so much stuff out there. If you limit to what people tell you, under certain circumstances, of course, there's always excuses. Go after it. Stop telling yourself you're going to be this, you're going to be that. Do it. Stop telling people. Do it. Show them by your actions. People just run around in circles thinking that they have something accomplished. You're running around on a hamster wheel getting nowhere. Start doing actions. Get after it. Stop listening to all this negativity around you. You got to start absorbing positive comments and getting after that. That's the start of it, is like going on. And I don't agree being on social media and all this stuff, but if you surround yourself with, the content that is irrelevant, the stupid stuff, all this different stuff that is mind-boggling, if you follow the right people, again, go on my Instagram account, Redefine Relentless, and follow a bunch of those people. I already have a ton of the work done in finding those types of people. Follow those people and watch your feed just blow up with that motivation. And the crazy part about this podcast episode is that I know I'm going to have people laughing, right? Like, oh, Hunter's trying to be this motivation guy, and he's just trying to those are the negative comments that I do not listen to. I would not have 93 episodes if I listened to those people. And that's what I'm trying to deal with, because there's always people that are going to tell you, no, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Why is Hunter? Why is he credible? Why are you listening to him? Why this? Why that? Those people are sitting questioning you. They're not doing shit. And you're over here doing something. There's so much stuff. If I just would have sit and listened to these negative comments and just actually listen to them, then I wouldn't be here. That's why I'm telling you. That's why I have this feel to set this tone within you. 2023 is your year. You keep on telling yourself 2022, 2021, all these years are me. And then you don't go after what you're doing. You don't do the actions. Start doing the actions. Take accountability for your mistakes and your failures and go after it. There's so many people that point fingers at your job, your career, your friend group, whatever it is, pointing fingers. You should be like, even if it's not you, being like, yo, it was me, and I'm going to take accountability for what this is. Excuses sound the best to the person making them. I'm going to say that one more time because that was so powerful. Excuses sound the best to the people that make them. There's no tomorrow, start today. No tomorrow, start today. There's always the person that's a tomorrow person ain't going to get stuff done. And again, excuses. Oh, but Hunter, I'm saying that in your dreams or whatever you keep on procrastinating. At this point, if you procrastinated it this long, it's probably something you don't want to do. You're not going to be fulfilled doing it. So why are you having it on your to-do list repetitively? Why don't you it's just another thing on your mind that you don't need to have. I, again, want to set this tone within you, this fire, this motivation, all the things that have happened to lead to this moment of you very much listening to this podcast episode. You are amazing. You're going to do amazing things, but you have to listen to the voice within you that is telling you to ignore these people, to get after it. And there's the other voice as well in your head that's saying, tomorrow, you got it, you can just do it tomorrow. That's the voice that's suppressing you and who you become. It's step a step. Taking those baby steps. You're not gonna have what you want in 10 years tomorrow, right? But you got to take those baby steps in order to get there. You got to write that down. You got to journal that stuff. You got to really think about it. You have to dream it. I dream that Simpler Living will be this huge subscription-based model that a bunch of people are vacationing to. I dreamed, but I put action to those dreams. That was in Think and Grow Rich, another amazing podcast episode, 91. Should go listen to it if you haven't already. That's really going to push you to become better. It's like seeing these things, all these successful people, all these people I've read, right? They tell me one important thing. All these books have it similar. You can read and do all this, but if you don't have action, nothing of what you just put your time to in reading means nothing. Nothing. And that's with everything in life, right? It's not just the actual reading books. That's just everything you learn in your life. Start applying things. Start having action to things because that makes you overall a stronger person. It's pretty easy. If someone sits there and complains about it's not fair, this and that, versus the person that, okay, this happened, but what am I going to do now? What can I control and what am I going to do? The people that complain are the ones that are going to keep on complaining. They're the ones who tell you not to do this because it's not going to be a fair game. Surprise news, nothing's fair. You have to have this rock hard mentality and mindset. And you can be like, Hunter, I really don't. I can't start. Baby steps, right? It looks like a big goal, looks like a big task. Baby steps, it compounds. Again, 1% each day better equals 365% better in a year. Think about that. It's the step after a step, the baby steps. Follow the motivation. Look for motivational people. There's recommendations on Instagram. If you follow this person, it has a thing below and it's follow these people. If you like this person, do that. Start on my Instagram podcast. Start filling that void. Start having that positive mindset and that mentality to get after it. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough, but that's what make tough people, right? If you want it to be easy, you're going to be a normal person. So you have the tough situations, it's realizing that all these tough situations are going to make you a tougher person. You're going to have a tougher character at the end of the day. You have to understand that. A normal mindset equals a normal person. Be different. We hear this, but we don't do it, right? Be different. Because it is the people that are the most different that are the most remembered. But it's, that voice in your head being be quiet. Just be quiet, right? Because nothing's going to happen. Under certain circumstances, yes, absolutely. The loudest person in the room tends to fall the hardest. And I agree with that in certain circumstances, but I got to be different, right? I got to be heard. I got to be different than all these other people. I'm not trying to say, look at me and be cocky, right? I'm trying to be me and I'm trying to be different. That's how you have to see it. In this, the author of the 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene, he talked about how people thought it was a terrible book and that blah, 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 blah. And it's different. There's no book like it if you ever read it. It's it could be evil or whatever, but it's different. It's him. Be weird. You're more noticeable when you're yourself. Everyone else is taken. If you just stand and be in that normal lane, you're going to be a normal person. How can you foresee normal outcomes? Better outcomes than normal if you're just being normal. You gotta be heard, right? But obviously there's a point where you're overheard, but I'm learning and I'm bringing it back. I'd rather be louder and bring it back than be quieter and forever just trying to progressively get louder and louder and louder. I'm not loud every single time and everywhere I go, but I try to spread the positivity. I try to do this and that. And there's always people, of course, hi, you have a podcast, you think blah, 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 you don't know anything. If I would have listened to those people, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. It took that one step, that one episode a week that made a difference. And now I have people, hundreds of people that listen. And it's just this fulfilling thing that I wouldn't have if I listened to these negative people, right? And I keep on re-saying that, but I want you to substitute what I'm saying and put it in to whatever your dream is, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to get after. I want to work for this company, I want to work for that company, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. Put it and apply it, right? Again, normal people, normal mindset. Be different. It's so cliche, but no one's different. In just a quick second away from the podcast episode, please leave a review, share with friends and family, and follow me on Instagram, link in the below, and turn bell notifications on so you know when I drop the next episode. With that being said, enjoy the rest of the podcast episode. And I want you to understand real quick the reason why I have this fuel to my fire. Why I'm always so motivated, why I try to be positive, because I'm trying to help my younger self, the younger self that was depressed, that didn't understand all these things, why people were bullying me when I couldn't read, when I had specific learning disability, ADHD, when I had all these damn things that were limiting me. I let those people limit me, and it caused me to get rejected by IU, Purdue, Ball State 2 times. I had to keep on taking that SAT. I got a 960 on my SAT score, and I believed every single second that I was stupid. And because of that, it limited what I could accomplish. But when I had a new slate, when I went to college and told myself, I'm going to be someone different, I'm not going to listen to the negative people, and I'm going to go after it and get it, that is exactly what I accomplished. And I still have those people. Hunter, you're stupid. What are you talking about? I literally just had someone, like, if you think, like, my life's perfect and things don't happen to me, they do, just like any other normal person. Now, I'm not saying I have it bad. Tough times create tough people, and that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm doing this podcast episode, because of my younger self and the limitations that I believed that those other people gave me. That's why I have the motivation I have. And that's why I thank myself today. And I thank those people that were negative in my life, that made fun of me, that bullied me, that caused the depression in my life. Because I am who I am today. And I continue to do that. And it's hard opening up and becoming vulnerable, like getting a little, showing behind the scenes of myself, but I want to be real with you guys. I haven't gone in depth why I started this podcast. It was the depression within me. It was, losing some close people to me. I had friends. I had Charlie, Randall, a guy I used to play games with, Verandeep. Like, Charlie, these people I weren't best buddies with, but they were people I talked to every day, and it's like their life was taken so quick from them in their youth, and I knew tomorrow's never promised, and you just got to go after it and get it. And I needed to give myself that motivation. That's why I built this, and the knowledge and everything. That's why I built this. That's why I did it. And it's tough coming on, being very vulnerable. It's very tough. It's not easy. But I want to be as real as I can, because I know there's so much stuff in the background that people don't see in your life. They don't see in my life, and it's not fair. It won't ever be fair. But you got to start somewhere. And I tell you, I genuinely thank myself when I started college and I had a total different mindset, that I wouldn't let those people affect me, and I was just on my grind. People question, Hunter, why are you working on a Saturday and Sunday? Why aren't you at the Darty? Why aren't you going to parties on Friday? Why don't you go to the bars? Why did you go to the bars hardly ever during college? If you had that feel, you would understand. And I don't need validation between all of this. I'm telling you why, right? My hierarchying why this podcast exists, and why I didn't listen to those people, and why I am where I am today. And that's what you got to do with yourself. Again, you got to fill the void with what my examples are and do it with your life. I know you're smart enough to do that. And I know you're a go-getter to do it. That's why you got to go after whatever you're fulfilled with. Whatever those negative people, your podcasts suck. You're stupid. You're intellectual. You're again, I can mispronounce words. I just messed up there. And I don't cut that out because I'm raw with my stuff, right? I don't do that, the things that I have to have a perfect episode. I have to have this. I do it uncut because because, and unedited, I take pauses here and there, but I have to do that to show people I make mistakes. And I'm just, I'm not the best with spelling. Some people crack jokes about that still. Like when I spell at, different places, or people are like, you don't know how to spell that? How do you not know how to say that? Why are you saying that word? You're like trying to sound smart and you don't even know what it is. Like last podcast episode, you may have noticed if you listen to it on the 4-hour work, I said detrimental like so many times, and that's not what I was trying to say. I bring this up because I always fail. I fail and fail and fail, but I learn and I reflect upon that and I move on. I live in the now. And because of that, I am comfortable with whatever things come my way. And I'm going to get uncomfortable. And I have things, and I just had things a week and a half ago in my personal life that made me so damn uncomfortable. Incredibly uncomfortable. Like, I'm not going to tell you what happened. That's, my personal stuff, but incredibly comfortable. And it changed who I was, and I realized tough times make tough people. Tough times make tough people. Keep moving on. And there's times you have to sit down and reflect. And, when something really detrimental, I do mean it this time, I learned from it, when something detrimental, something very harmful, or something bad that happens in your life, then you need to reflect. You need time, right? I'm not saying, keep on going after it once, someone passes away or stuff. There's times you have to take and reflect, right? But those times are limited. And if you haven't had bad times are coming. The storm's coming. But you got to be prepared, right? And there's tough times that you can't be prepared for. I can understand that. But again, try to limit those excuses that you have today, for it makes you a better person tomorrow. Tough times never last. Tough people do. It's not going to be easy. I've read the books. I've read the self-help books. I've read the business books. And all of it, there's no short, get rich quick. There's none of that. And guess what? You're going to have to learn the hard way if you think there is. And there's like 0.0001% of chance of it happening, whatever. You can go look after that, right? And you could spend all your life looking for this get rich, this shortcut. Or while you're doing that, and people are going to be getting it and actually putting in the work, being effective with their time, because it's more important to be effective with your time than it is to be productive. But you have to go get it. Like, stop. The excuses have to stop now. And you really just, it is so simple. It's like you just got to work towards it. I'm not saying you overwork yourself till like you're depressed and all this different stuff. You just got to do something that fulfills you. And if you don't know, try to do these hobbies. Try to do different things. Stop making excuses. Oh, I can't find this. I'm not passionate about that. Okay, cool. What can you control? And go do it. It's that simple. Like, if I could summarize all that stuff, it don't matter. Just do action, bro. Like, just go after it, put in the hard work, and be effective with your time again. You don't always have to be productive. You could be productive doing the wrong thing. You're like, well, how do I know? Just quit making excuses and don't learn for yourself. Just go after it with whatever you want to do. And you're like, I don't know what I want to do. Cool, go figure it out. Stop making excuses. Well, I'm just not passionate about my job and like, okay, cool. Again, excuses. What can you control? Go fix it. Stop sitting there. And I got to film this for myself as well. I go back and listen to these podcast episodes. There's times I'm not perfect. I don't always have that type of mindset. There's times that I have to reflect. There's times where I got to be like, what can I control? I kind of forgot. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't make, I try not to make excuses, and I try to limit those. In order to set sail, you have to know where you are. Try to find yourself. And again, you're like, Hunter, I don't know. I can't find myself. Cool. What can you control? Try to figure it out. Maybe you do need to read a self-help book. But again, apply action to it. Apply action to it. In order to set sail, you have to know where you are. And that's so important. I know I just repeated that, but I really want you to get that. That was one of the better quotes I had written down. In order to set sail, you have to know where you are. Learn and add value to yourself, to your future self. There's the safe part of life where it's like, your Roth IRA, your S&P 500, your stock investments that compound over time. Compounding, again, is super important. But compound your current value and your future value, and you're going to make way more value. And you're going to be able to there's a threshold, like the retirement account versus you investing in books, your time. Your time is your most valuable asset. Money can be replaced, time can't. How can you value and put your time towards something that is good and makes you a better person? And go after it and do that. Because people sit down and do the same thing and go home and watch Netflix and all this different stuff and wonder why things just keep on repeating, why they're not changing. Because you're not changing. Open your eyes. Open your eyes to what's around you. Like all these habits that you have. Again, if you enjoy life, you like watching Netflix, there's no problem with that. I want you to do you, right? But I don't want you, if you're complaining and you don't like where you're at right now, to be like, why is this happening? And you just make excuses. Times were tough growing up. Like they weren't fair. They're never going to be fair. And you know what? Yeah, sure. There's that person that got a trust fund or something and they have to step up. But I think it's almost better to not have that trust fund. And people are like, Hunter, what are you talking about? Because that person is being fed. That person doesn't know how to go get it themselves because they've been given everything. And I think the people that are the hungriest make the biggest impact. You can have a trust fund and do nothing with your life and do no impact besides spend money and show people you have money. What does that do? You're going to be lost. In 100 years, no one's going to remember you. It was just, he just had a bunch of money. Like, there's a bigger impact to life than just money. Surprise. And I want you to realize that, there's bad habits, there's bad things. If Netflix, and I would make the argument that, like, there's documentaries and stuff you can learn. Sure, absolutely. But if you're watching Netflix, like, right when you get off work, think about the things you do before and after work. I sleep a little too much. How can I get up and make it better? What can I do with this time? Reading an hour a day is 365 hours. 365 hours in a year. That is crazy. Like, think about those little baby steps that you can add into your life, those good habits. I highly recommend listening to the podcast episode Atomic Habits, which is episode 51. I'll link it below. Make sure you get that. And it goes to show you that you make a big difference. If you fly from LA to New York and change it by 1 degree, you end up in like Boston or something. That like it's just off track. And that's what these bad habits do. They throw you completely off track. Open your eyes and see what you do within these time periods, or ask a friend, family, what do you recognize, a roommate. I don't have a roommate. Then just try to realize yourself. Stop making excuses. Try to understand what you're doing and how you can become better. Always trying to be improved, because that compounding effect will become to your absolute relative value and to society. And you're increasing that. And then like I was saying with this retirement, and yeah, I'm doing my E fund. I'm trying to do it right. I'm trying to save up for retirement and stuff like that. That's a fail safe. That's a worst case scenario. You have to put time, which is your most valuable asset, towards reading. And you're like, Hunter, I don't like reading. Okay, that's excuse. You don't have to like reading. I hated it. Try a different book, or documentaries or YouTube videos that are educational, or TikToks that are educational. But that is the hardest thing. Again, it's teaching yourself, like when you get on TikTok or whatever, it's like, I just spent like an hour doing that, and I try to watch motivational videos. Realize and execute what you need to do. Stop making excuses. I'm going to finish this podcast episode doing some quotes that all repeat, and I say it so much on the podcast, and it's the reason I say it and repeat them all the time is because they're in thousands of books and thousands of people say them that are super successful. Believe in yourself. You're halfway there, Theodore Roosevelt. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow is the doubts of today, Franklin Roosevelt. Act as if you do make a difference. It does, William James. Don't watch the clock. Do what it does. Keep going. Sam Levinson. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. That'll be wrapping up this podcast episode. Remember, don't listen to the negative comments, especially if they don't tell you how to improve. Those are irrelevant. Block them out. I'm telling you, that's what I did. And again, that's why I have, some things, and I'm always improving still. I'm not trying to be cocky with all the stuff in the past. I'm trying to tell you why this happened. All this stuff isn't just magic. It's putting in the effort. It's putting in the work, doing what makes you passionate. You know what I'm saying? That's what you have to keep on doing, and limit those excuses. Surround yourself with positivity, and you're halfway there. Seriously. Listen to the podcast. Follow those Instagram accounts. Everything like that. They'll be wrapping up this podcast episode. Don't forget, be grateful for today. Tomorrow is never promised.
This has been the Redefine Relentless podcast. Catch you guys later.
And that's the last you saw of them. You got it?